Steelers, Browns in Pittsburgh. RG3 doing Monday Countdown, saw it all. First play from scrimmage. What happens, RG3?
Oh, it's definitely not the way that the Browns wanted to start the game. And as we say, tip balls get picked. But my man Alex Highsmith let me know that he was toting that thing in high school with this return.
All the way to the crib. I love the way the defense played well together this whole night.
30 yards for the pick six on the first play of the game. And then just a horrendous moment. We're not going to show you, don't worry, the replay of the knee. Just take our word for it. It's one of those you don't want to see. Nick Chubb down. He won't get back up again this year. A reminder that he had the devastating knee injury once before in college. So obviously terrible news. Meanwhile, next play here, Jeff, they get in the end zone.
Yeah, bittersweet, obviously, for the Browns, right? You got to stay in the game, come back and score a touchdown, which they're fired up about, but losing them for the season, just brutal.
Watson, the touchdown to Jerome Ford. They go for the two. They actually lead it 11-7. Then finally, there's Pickett to Pickens.
And this is what we've been looking for. These two were supposed to blow up this year, and that happened on one play in that game.
70-yard touchdown. Steelers go for two. They don't get it. They're up 16-11. Pickett a little banged up. Now, third quarter, Neek, Jerome Ford starting to run. He's got some room, but watch Minkah Fitzpatrick on the effort.
Yeah, Minka's not going to give up on this play. It might have cost him more than it was worth. Runs him all the way down, hurts his chest on the play, but maybe missing Chubb isn't as big a deal as we thought.
But we'll see. Again, Jerome Ford, the dive. Fitzpatrick, as you mentioned, shaken up on the play, would not return. Few plays later, Pierre Strong living up to his name for the touchdown. Jeff.
Run behind them pass. Score with your man. I see you, Strong. Put it in the end zone.
Browns go for two and they get it. So they're up 22-19. So with the lead in the fourth quarter, RG3, what's the one thing you can't do?
You got to make sure you protect the ball. Two hands on it. You can't turn it over, Deshaun.
It's Highsmith again. First he scores the touchdown, then he knocks this one away, and T.J. Watt takes it home.
I mean, it's a kind of a weak high step, TJ. You got a little more sauce on that, man. That ain't what is it? Ooh,
no
you got to loosen up, man.
Steelers up 26-22. Now, here's the last chance for the Browns. 4th and 10 at midfield. Someone tell me how this isn't interference.
Good D. A little bit of hand fight never hurt nobody.
What are we doing here?
A little bit of hand fight never hurt nobody. Good D, Porter. I see you, young fella. Way to play D, Porter.
That's a rookie. Game ends on that play. Pittsburgh with the victory. Stefanski stunned. Steelers get in the win column. 26-22 is the final score. And I want to start briefly on that play, and then we'll work our way around to all of the ramifications of last night because they were enormous. But that is twice this week, Mr. Foxworth, Mr. Cornerback.
It's good D.
Mr. Always Standing Up. That's two games this week that ended on very questionable no calls for defensive pass interference. First in Denver and then there.
Through the course of a game, there are a lot of plays. Refs miss calls. Where's everybody all up in arms about how Mike Evans pushed the man to a ground for a touchdown earlier this week? Normally the defense doesn't get the call. We get a couple calls in our favor, and now everybody upset.
Because we want fans to watch the game, bro. Score points. Let's go. Come on,
fairness.
Fox.
I want fairness.
Dan Graziano.
It's getting late anyway. I mean, I needed to go to bed at that point. Overtime would have been terrible.
Graziano. No one hates anything more than Graziano hates it when we do the officiating, but that's a terrible no call.
But I agree with Dominique. I mean, like, it's the last call of the game. There were other missed calls. Like, officiating is a game condition, much like weather. Outplay it.
There you go.
There we go.
I mean, we can't sit here and act like just because it was at the end of the game that it shouldn't have been called.
Right.
Those calls earlier in the game don't matter as much as this play at the end of the game. So him walking up and saying, I'm him basically after this play, yeah, you are him.
It's a little bit
you are
much.
the one that was holding the receiver.
That's exactly right.
At the end of the game.
Right.
And it should have been called.
That's right. QB. I like that.
Right.
I like that. I like where he is right now.
That's right. Who committed the penalty? It was him. That's exactly what happened. That's what the him came from. Okay, so that's the last play. Meanwhile, let's get to the game. I want you to hear Mike Tomlin after the game because he was in mid-season form.
Man, 1-0 in the AFC North, man, we don't take that for granted. We're appreciative. I'm appreciative of the effort of the men. I'm appreciative of their fight, their no-blink approach.
Mike, you talked about you get the big play early, and get another big play late. Coming off the game that you did, is that an okay recipe for you? Is get a couple big plays and kind of hang on in between?
We're not going to apologize for winning.
Exactly right. I love it.
I'm not sure that was a yes.
Yeah, defense is the strongest part of our team. We scored 2 tuds. We ain't worried about it. And listen, all the cliches he goes with, all that stuff. That's why they don't blink, because that's what Tomlin says in the locker room. That is him through and through, man. You got to love it.
Yeah, absolutely right. He's a tone-setting head coach.
Yes.
Maybe, one of the very best there is, and absolutely. But, I mean, look, like the Steelers fever that gripped this desk in August when they looked so good in the preseason, like what are we thinking now? Like the offense does not look good. They hit the one big play to Pickens, right? But 2 of the touchdowns were on defense.
Yes.
I'm just not sure that this is a team that has the firepower to compete in the AFC.
Well, that's the question. RG3, is the Steelers' offense good enough / going to get good enough as the season goes on for them to be a legitimate player in that conference?
Well, I mean, they don't have a choice. I mean, we can talk about the offense, but this defense really showed up like we thought they would in week 1.
Right.
You know, TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith let it be known that they were not going to lose this football game and scored more points than the offense. When you talk about that offense with Kenny Pickett, you ask me what can they do or what do they need to do to get better.
Tell me.
They've got to give him more full pure progression reads on the offensive side of the ball. Right now, they're giving him a lot of half-field reads, which if he picks the wrong side as a young QB, now he has no answers. Right. Dominique, you know this. When a defense is constantly changing the look on you post-snap, pre-snap, you need that pure progression to help get you in the flow of the game.
And when they're doing the half-field reads, you start rolling coverages. Those things that defense know. Like, when he looks this way, he's not going back that way.
Right.
Safety, go over there. Corner, act hard. These are things that you can do. The one big play they had was a result of the linebackers being a little too aggressive. You can't count on that every week. And I thought what Mike Tomlin has mastered is he's been able to somehow put a positive spin on some bad news because he's not going to lie to you, which I respect.
Right.
He said, I'm not going to apologize for winning,
Amen.
which means you're right.
That's
we
right.
can't win like that more often, but I'm not going to apologize for stealing this one real quick.
Right. I've not heard an assistant coach face as much questioning / criticism as Matt Canada has, and it sounds to me like that's what you're saying here. You're suggesting the offensive plan. I want to translate this for the the lay people. Is it too simple? What are you suggesting that it is?
It's too simple. It's too basic. It's too plain. You know,
too predictable.
It's like grits without sugar.
Canada needs to get over 400 yards. Like, they haven't done that yet.
They haven't done it yet. And, I mean, this was a stat I saw. Sheil Kapadia at The Ringer used to work for us. Great stat. 36 games now as offensive coordinator for Matt Canada. They have not achieved a 400-yard offensive game in any of those games. And, I mean, look, 400 yards, that's not nothing, right? But over the same span, other teams have done it a combined 277 times.
Yeah.
So it's not completely impossible either.
So it then begs the question. The Steelers feel to me like one of at least 2 contenders in the AFC that are now going to try and go it by playing great defense and kind of keeping everything together. The Jets are the other, and we'll talk about them later. Can you do that, Jeff? Can a team that does not have an elite-level quarterback or elite-level explosive offense in that conference win in a significant way?
No, and it's because of the explosive plays. It's not necessarily the quarterback, but they have to find ways for like the Pickens touchdown. They're going to have to get 2 or 3 of those. I don't mean touchdowns, but just explosive plays on the back end to keep them in flow, as well as the defense played last night. To ask that of your defense week in and week out, it's just not going to happen.
I mean, in their defense, they did have 2 possessions taken from them because the defense went ahead and scored.
Right.
Yeah. They didn't have many opportunities, but you're right. You have to accept that this offense is not going to be a methodical offense. They're going to have to create big plays, and they're fortunate enough to have a defense that they can trust.
Right.
Going to give them some short fields, and that it's okay if we go 3 and out every now and then. They did it. They had a turnover in this game where the defense came out there and forced a field goal, and they missed it. They have that good fortune, so they have time. But the way that they're playing right now is not going to be.
It's okay to go 3 and out every now and then. It's not okay if 3 and out's your identity.
Ron is fired up, baby. It's the truth, though.
Shots fired.
And for the Steelers offensively, this is, I think, the 5th time in Kenny Pickett's last 7 starts that they've only scored 1 touchdown.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a problem. So when you look at everybody getting on Matt Canada, there's a reason they're getting on him. But something's got to change, or somebody's got to go.
It's not just the offensive line. Also, let's make sure it's everywhere.
Sure.
It's not just on one player. It is, everybody has to continue to get better. I think that was Tomlin's point last night. We ain't gonna apologize. We got the win. Well, let's get better for next week.
Briefly, let's talk about the quarterback on the other side, because of Kenny Pickett, not that much is expected. Of Deshaun Watson, he's getting paid $230 million guaranteed dollars. What was that list you read to me this morning?
So since he came back from the 11-game suspension that he started that contract with, he ranks 26th in the league in QBR. 26th. Mm-hmm. So the last few games of last season and the first 2 here. So, a lot of 25 guys ahead of him. They must be really good players, right?
Right.
Not necessarily. A partial list of those guys includes Tyler Huntley, Anthony Richardson just got here. Davis Mills is on the list. Baker Mayfield has a higher QBR. Sam Darnold has a higher QBR over that time.
If you
than
say
Deshaun
Zach Wilson,
Watson.
I'm throwing you out the door.
He's not on this list. Josh Dobbs is. Desmond Ridder is. Kenny Pickett.
Why?
Ninth.
What are we seeing? You watched the game last night. Are you doing Monday Countdown? You were a quarterback. What is he struggling with?
I mean, to be quite frank, everything. It feels like the game is moving too fast for him. He's still coming back from being offered essentially 2 years. And, you know, the turnover at the end of the game, not having two hands on the ball when you step up in the pocket, they're little fundamental things that he's just lacking right now. And when you look at them just from their offensive output, they're averaging 15.4 points per game since Deshaun Watson became the starter. I mean, the only team that's worse than that is the Jets.
Okay, again.
Okay,
So
I'm
that's.
sorry.
No, I'm ignoring this side of the table.
He got the green.
I'm sorry about that, okay?
This whole side of the table is being ignored for the remainder of that. We'll get to Nick Chubb as we continue as well. We have a lot to dive into.